Um, so, I just came from a little driving lesson because I got to do 28 theory, 32 driving. It's just a pain in my ass right now. I'm walking home basically because I am lucky enough to have a driving school like really near my place. I have some calls today, and then I have the app development work that I've just been honestly not very good at doing, and I've been procrastinating that a little bit. I did make an agreement with my VA about like how to start stuff. I put her onto Wise, I put her onto Stripe, so that she learns that stuff. I'm also putting her on Notion because she hasn't used it before. I think she's dabbled in it, whatever. So I'm gonna run that experiment. I'm pretty curious to see how it goes, and yeah, I'm excited to see where things go. But till the end of this week, I still have a lot of work. A lot of like organizing, planning next week, figuring out what needs to get done. And I have some design stuff that I need to send over to the prospect to kick off a project next week. So yeah, that's the plan for today. That's the start. I'm reaching home in a bit, so I gotta go walk my dog and stuff, so I'm probably not gonna have a lot of kind of additional thoughts or reflections. But also the audio here is going to be probably worse. There's cars passing by, whatever, so I will probably just, I'll get into more stuff later, once I also get in the group, my work and stuff. Okay, this is just a really quick update because I got to go to another driving lesson in like 5 minutes. But I was just working on, so I'm running this whole like VA kind of trial thing and trying to see how it goes and obviously learn. Like my thinking on it is basically it's an experiment and I'm optimizing for a rate of learning, right? Like paying that ignorance debt down as fast as possible. And so I think it's worth hiring and spending the money because I learn whether it's useful or not, but either way I now know. And then maybe I can run an experiment later. Anyway, but I am trying to at least like make it as successful as possible. So I thought I'd share like just what I'm doing to prepare, because a VA coming on like this is somebody who's gonna help you out with a lot of ad hoc tasks. And so the tasks can be very arbitrary for the most part. And so one of the challenges can be that people don't delegate enough. And so, or for example, like I think for a VA to be successful, one of the things like, let's say email management, right? For them to help you out, you can't just CC them into emails that they need to handle because then you still have to be going through your inbox. So I've just been putting together a Notion page over here. And I'm actually, I'll just show this. So you can see, let's just put this in Do Not Disturb. You can see like, I'm basically putting my favorite places, which is a bunch of like Google lists, because I have these lists of places that I love to go to, like restaurants and stuff like that. And then like how to handle my calendar, how to handle my emails. I'm gonna add stuff like, oh, okay, if it's a calendar invite, usually accept it. If it's like a newsletter, put it into this folder, whatever. Social media, maybe she can help with just like managing some of that. I mean, maybe not so much right now, maybe later, I have no idea. But I don't spend much time on social, but I think it would be nice to at least like, for example, my Instagram, like posting more stories I think might be a good idea. Just not necessarily because I think I want to be active on there, but I don't want to have the app. Travel guide or accounting and invoices. So for example, one of the things which like for me is a relatively simple task, but it's just a hassle. It's like I have to input the invoices and make sure I have so for my accounting, I have to keep track of things. This is something that ends up in my email. She could add stuff. I have some backlog, so she could start there. Travel guide, stuff like, so if I'm going somewhere, because I travel a lot, I could ask her to find me the cheapest dates, find me a place to stay. I can potentially look at like just basically giving her a criteria of like, okay, this is what I prioritize in location. I want an Anytime Fitness because that's the gym that I go to because it's got the most global coverage. what else? I want like food nearby, and I want a central location. I'm willing to go a little bit smaller, and then this is my budget, and then you can just find like top 3, 4 options, and then send them my way. You know, yeah, maybe also content creation for the company. So like posting articles or reposting stuff, because I know that I don't handle that very well. Well, I don't do anything for the company page. Maybe she could help out with that. Sourcing meetings and interesting people. So one of my goals is obviously like reaching out to more people, but sometimes I get very busy and I might not necessarily make time for that properly. And that's something that she could probably help with. Maybe not necessarily sending the message, because I want to send something like personal, but be like, oh, check out these 3 people. They're in Lisbon. You can meet them maybe. You know, stuff like that. This is where I'm starting. So this is just, and I'll see how this document evolves, whether it proves useful or not. But I think hiring a VA is not just bringing somebody and asking them, okay, like help me, right? You have to be specific about what you want help with and produce documentation about how you want them to act in the different situations and contexts that you have them operating in. So like, how do I want you to manage my calendar? I want you to leave my evening hours open because that's my focus work, or et cetera. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm pretty excited. Other than that, I'm getting on some design work, but yeah, I have to go. So not much of a crazy update, but I think it's at least interesting to share. Just like, this is the way I'm thinking about the VA stuff right now. And maybe that'll change, you know, down the line, but this is where things are at the moment. Again, happy if anybody is curious or wants to hire a VA or wants to know about my experience, like, well, I mean, I'll be documenting my experience, but if you want to know about the template for the Notion, happy to share. If anybody actually wants it, just like comment so I know to make it a template and available. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go 2 hours of driving lessons, and then what do I have after that? Then I got a call at 8:30. I gotta squeeze in dinner at some point. Also have to walk my dog at some point as well. And then I will be going to the gym between 9 to 11 because I haven't had any other time, and I haven't gone the past 2 days? Yeah. Or the past day. I didn't go yesterday. Wait, let me check. I went. Yeah. And I want to get back on top of that. Like, I miss it. I want it. So I've made time for it, but it's going to be at night. So tonight's going to be a pretty long night, because then I get back from the gym and I have a call at 11:15. I'll probably stay till about 1. Then tomorrow morning I have to meet somebody at like 10 a.m. as a physical meeting as well. Oh, and I have this other, I have so much random stuff going on. There's like some dog trainer who has to come, and so I have to reschedule that. It would be useful if my VA could help with this stuff. Unfortunately, she can't help with everything, because some of this stuff is like to do with family or personal situations, or this guy's Portuguese, and so we're scheduling in Portuguese. My VA doesn't understand that, so drawbacks about being kind of a polyglot. But anyway, that's it for right now. All right. Well, I'm on the way back from my driving lessons, and as you can see, I'm walking through this, like, there's a little bit of a field. The moon looks really nice. Also, the view, you can't really see it from here, but there's a bridge, the Lisbon Bridge, 25 de Abril. If you're from Lisbon, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm sorry for the shitty lighting and the probably equally shitty audio, because I'm recording this with my AirPods, but I was just reflecting on a conversation that I had yesterday, actually, with a German friend of mine who's in Austin for a little bit. And we had a really interesting conversation about, like, where to move, visas, taxes, shit like that. Because I think a lot of the business and content world is really focused on the US, and you know what? The world doesn't actually only revolve around America. The rest of the world also exists. Now, America's obviously very big, so it's fair enough. It's probably the media capital of the world, like, almost certainly. But we were just having a conversation about, like, where to live, stuff like that. So I'm based in Singapore right now. I'm originally Portuguese, but I did grow up abroad. But I'm probably going to move at some point. And the primary reason being I want to work more in the West. Singapore's really far. Now, I basically just wanted to share my thoughts around the issue. Now, I'm going to be home soon, so I probably won't do it in this shitty recording. But, like, the long story short is there are a lot of options when you have your own business. So that's a good starter. Also, there is, like, money is definitely a blocker for this. So, like, the more money, the more doors you have open. That's no secret, especially with the visa stuff. But, like, you don't need insane amounts of money to have at least something. Anyway, I'll get into it probably later at some point at home, because this is going to be super noisy and awful to record along the side of the road, so yeah. Alright, so I'm now out walking my dog, who's a bit of a bitch, to be honest, but it's okay, whatever. She's got some interesting history. Anyway, what I was talking about earlier, and I mean, I was gonna do this with like a proper mic and whatever, and the audio definitely would have been better, but I have to walk her, and when I get home, I'm gonna have dinner. It's like, what time is it? It's like 8:05 now. I gotta get back, have dinner. 8:30, I have a call till about 9. 9, I go to the gym, come back, probably, you know, like 10:30, because travel, like 10-15 minutes. Then I shower, and then I have another call at 11:15. So, don't really have a whole lot of time to record, and so I was like, you know what, I might as well just record on the walk. But I just wanted to talk about thoughts from that conversation. Basically, we were thinking about just chatting about like where we're going, both of us. So both of us are kind of European Union citizens, already a great perk. If you're from other countries where your passport is maybe weak or something, that can really suck. But I figured it might be cool to share it, because I think a lot of people don't have American, British, and Canadian passports and stuff, and I feel like a lot of the media centered around those options. But as an international person, what kind of options do you have? At least I speak kind of in my situation is my residency in Singapore comes from having lived there for a long time. So that is just pure chance. My parents went there and they're immigrants looking for better jobs. And we got there on basically corporate packages, because corporate packages used to be a lot more appealing. Nowadays, not so much. Probably I want to move like closer to the West, and the US is a great market, but it's hard to get a visa. Everybody knows that. That's the whole thing. It's like visa videos. This is not a typical how to get a US visa, because I don't want to get a US visa. There are options, things like O1 and stuff like that, but those are complicated. They take time. And I think if I had access, it would definitely be really interesting. But you could get things like student visas, but then you're obviously kind of locked in as a student and you can't work. For me, that doesn't work, seeing as I run a company. But as your company grows, more options will become available to you. Now, what I shared with him is that I'm probably thinking about going to Dubai. A big part of that is effectively the tax rates. And I'm not a big believer in moving somewhere just for tax necessarily, right? Because your quality of life might not be great. But my thinking is, if you're somebody who's young and you don't have a huge family, you don't have a lot of like in-person commitments, and what I mean by that is, if you have a long-term relationship or some kind of marriage and kids, like you don't want to be traveling somewhere every 3 months. That's going to suck. It's going to suck for you. It's going to suck for your kids. It's going to suck for everyone. But being young enough and flexible enough and kind of having bounced around a lot, I'm okay with that, right? And so, like, also Dubai has 90-day residency, like, term, so you have to be in the country for I think 90 days to be considered a tax resident, something like that. But most countries that's 6 months, which is a lot more of a commitment. And my thinking is that while you're young, also you're saving your tax dollars makes a difference, because like, if you think about what a dollar, like if you think in terms of investing, a dollar to you today is worth a lot more than a dollar to you in 20 years. Just because, you know, my extra dollars today, I can let them compound over a much longer period of time if I have them earlier, right? And so my thinking is, Dubai's good. I'm willing to do a circuit of travel so that I can still access the other cities. So I can spend time in London, in Lisbon, with my family. In London is for friends and business. Then also, you know, go to the States, because I do want to spend time there. It's the biggest market in the world. I think there's a lot of cool people to learn from. I like some cities in the U.S. I don't like everything, but nothing is all good, all bad. And that's how I'm thinking about it. Now, from what I am aware of, all in costs are about 10 grand to set up a company in Dubai, get your visa, stuff like that. You would need an apartment there, so you need some kind of permanent residency address. Now, you could potentially like stay with a friend, like live there for 3 months, make some friends, and then ask somebody to use their address as effectively your residential address. And that gives a place for mail, like official mail, to go to when you're not in the country, and you don't need to pay rent all year round. But obviously that the prerequisite for that is making a friend. That's not crazy though. And I've considered that. I think it depends how much time I'll actually spend in the country. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, I'm probably thinking about doing that kind of late this year, early next year. And I think there's a lot of benefits. I think, like, yeah, the taxes situation in the US is also not very appealing, especially in like the big cities, which I'd be interested. But tax laws in the US are incredibly complicated. And I was looking into this the other day, but so let's say I get an O1 visa, and I spend more than 4 months a year there, over like 3 years basically, then I would be considered a tax resident in the US. As a tax resident, I have to declare all foreign bank accounts with more than 10 grand. That's a huge pain in my ass. Also, you have to declare majority holdings in foreign companies. You have to, like, controlling shares or whatever. You have to declare a bunch of stuff, which is honestly, I think, none of their business, because it's outside their country, outside their jurisdiction. Like, they just have nothing to do with it. And then, if you fuck up one of those filings because it's so damn complicated, you have to pay a huge ass fine to the IRS. So there's a lot of downsides to going to the U.S. and becoming a tax resident if you are an international person. If you want to go there and, like, you know, live there all the way, like set up a life there, obviously that's different. But if you do intend to keep, like, my life is somewhat centered around Europe. Obviously I have family here, stuff like that, and so I don't intend on like I've always been, I mean, I grew up internationally, and so having bank accounts in different countries is like, it's a thing that I will definitely have. Having to declare all those filings for the US seems like a pain up my ass. So yeah, that's something I kind of found out about doing research and stuff like that. This German friend of mine, like, he was also talking about things like if he wants to raise for a company, it's obviously a lot easier in the US because funding rounds are way larger. Most sophisticated capital markets in the world, effectively it is the US. But if you're kind of not a citizen there, then the situation is more complicated, right? Now, do bear in mind, you can set up companies in most countries, especially like business hubs. You can set up countries without necessarily being a resident there. So you could do that in the US, but I mean, that's something I would think about later if I wanted to run operations in the US and I didn't want to necessarily be a resident. Definitely setting up a company and then like a subsidiary essentially. But yeah, those are things that I've been reflecting and thinking about, kind of where to position myself in the world, seeing as I'm an international person. Like, you want to catch tailwinds of large economies. So in any case, you want to spend time in big hubs as much as you can, but it's also just, you know, like, is it worth paying half your income? Like, if you go to New York, you're going to be in a huge hub, but you're going to pay half your income in tax and the other half in rent and everything else, because it's such an insanely expensive city. Now, is that worth it for the opportunities you get? Potentially, yeah, absolutely. But I would say, especially for like job opportunities and stuff, definitely worth taking. But if you're running your own thing, then it's a different story. But I would say it's important to spend time in as big a hub as possible. So I'm in Lisbon, but I don't think it's the place that I want to be long term. Like, it's good for focus. It's good to get stuff done. It's good for the fact that I literally do nothing else except work and go to the gym. But you want to meet cool people that can open doors that you didn't even know existed. That's like an important facet, I think, of being in big hubs, and that basically drives serendipity, which you cannot really calculate for, and you have no idea just happening to be the right restaurant at the right time, and you might meet some billionaire guy who opens this huge door for you. You just never know that's going to happen. But there's also an advantage to being in a smaller city, which is if you are involved in the business world and you're in a smaller city, you're going to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond, and so you can get to the top of those fish maybe in a smaller while. But it might be a little more closed off. But I think it's important to, I don't know, at least I want a mix of both. I value that diversity as well. Like, I enjoy changing, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm probably gonna try and set up shop in Dubai, in the UAE, get a residency there, live there for a bit, and see if I like it. Maybe I like it, maybe I don't. But yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to know if other people are also thinking about this kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I should probably make I haven't researched all of this super well, but I should probably make some kind of summary of like what my options actually are. So for example, like Estonia, Switzerland, those are places you can definitely set up companies without residency. You can also find your way to residency there. That has certain benefits. Estonian companies, for example, great tax rates in Europe, but you can't expense a lot of stuff. So food and beverage, you can't expense to the business. And expensing would mean you obviously save taxes. So there's all these little ifs and buts. And I guess Dubai is like top of mind for me, but I haven't like super carefully considered all my options. But in most major cities, there are ways, if you own your own company, there are definitely ways to set up visas and stuff like that. And like just running the same business in another city can grow your business a lot, just because purchasing power is different. And yeah, so that's something I also keep in mind. But yeah, I think that the conclusion of that conversation with my friend wasn't super specific, but it was kind of like, yeah, basically like an agency or some kind of cash flow business where you don't need to raise capital is a lot easier to do if you don't have access to the US. If you want to run some capital intensive business where you need like VC funding and stuff, access to the US markets becomes a much more important piece of the puzzle, if you will, because like being directly involved in that ecosystem where private equity is so much of a bigger market is very, very advantageous, right? Whereas if you operate an agency and you can run off cash flow and charge clients anywhere in the world, then you don't need the access to those capital markets necessarily, and maybe you don't need a residency specifically in the US. Yeah, I think those thoughts aren't very well collected, and I probably should put those together, but yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go back and have that call, which is with a client. It's for some marketing stuff for them, which is not what we do, but basically they want to build out some tech for marketing. That's what I meant to say. And then I'll be going to the gym, coming back, having a call with my friend about actually content creation stuff, just recording, documenting more, etc. And then I will be doing a little bit of work and then going to sleep, probably around like 1. Might record some more, I might not, I don't know. But at least that's it for now, because I gotta go back and eat dinner. So, I'm back outside with her. It's a very pretty morning. I got up maybe 30 minutes ago, and I'm going out for a coffee with this developer in Lisbon, who my friend recommended. So, I have an in-person meeting at 10. I have then a client call at 12:30, so I have to get back home, jump onto this call. Then I gotta have lunch. Another call at 2:30, another call at 3. Driving lesson at 4. Come back. Probably go to the gym. I can't. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much my plan at the moment. And then I'll be talking about, I don't know. I had a couple ideas, things that were just like, I was thinking about recently, that I thought I might record my thoughts on. But I don't have time to do that right now because I'm actually late for my meeting. But it's okay. It's not like it's not the end of the world. It's not the biggest deal. But yeah, so my plan is to get a bunch of work done today. So I redid the designs, just an update on the recent prospects that like are signing next week, but I redid designs for them and they don't like them, which kind of sucks. I mean, it's not that they don't like them, but they're just like picky about them. But they did say they're still willing to start the project and then like get the ball rolling. And to be fair, like they've barely given me a brief, and their feedback is super unspecific. If you work on any kind of like service fulfilling agency, just this is the name of the game. You will have clients like this, so like you can't complain. But it's just like definitely not the ideal client, but a client is better than nothing. I mean, they're associated with obviously the names that carry some credibility, so things like Ronaldo, things like this Singaporean billionaire, and his name is going to be especially recognized in Singapore, but I'm probably moving out and like closer to the west. But nonetheless, project is a project. I think it's an invaluable experience. Like the more products we can build, the better, because every single time we just get better and better at them. So yeah, I'm excited for it. And I really want to be able to deliver designs that they're really happy with. So I'm okay to iterate on stuff, and then hopefully they like it by the end. Like we reach a conclusion that's really, really nice. So that's the plan. But yeah, so I'll probably get back to recording like after the calls, or maybe right before. Don't know. We'll see. But I have to take her home and get to my meeting. So that's the update for right now.